Trey?
You're listening to another Woodshop podcast, the okayest podcast of its type. Your hosts are Daniel Dunlap of Daniel Dunlap Woodworks, Peter Kapar of Petrie's Workshop, and Braden Boakes of Littlebug Woodworking. You can find them as well as the podcast on your favorite social media channels.
Welcome to episode 224 of another Woodshop podcast, the Douglas Fir of podcasts. We used to stand for strength, integrity, reliability, and now you can find us bent out of shape in the lumber aisle at Home Depot. On the Jenka hardness scale, we rate between white oak and chocolate pudding, and despite all that, we're still an all-American staple, unlike those other exotic podcasts, am I right? What's going on, boys?
Hey, yo.
Clarification. You can find me bent out of shape in a Menards.
Menards aisle. I know.
Okay.
When I was writing it, just because the Depot is known for their bent woods.
Yeah, Menards has perfectly straight, wet pine.
Oh, it's wet pine.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
That's the
it's wet.
problem?
It's wet. Well, they keep it outside because it's in such bulk.
Sopping pine.
Hashtag
They don't
moist
even-
maker.
They don't even have it covered.
I mean, it's kind of covered.
Yeah, it's in an outdoor
Lumberyard, more
covered
like
area.
lamber yard. Am I right?
Heyo.
You watch your tongue.
And you know what's not lame, Dan?
Our page.
Yeah.
Did the word come out? I felt like the word didn't come out. I feel like when I said that,
I thought you just
my
cut
voice
out.
went quiet.
You know
No.
what's not lame, Dan?
Our patrons?
There it is. Oh,
There
your
we go.
squeak didn't happen. Your squeaker
Yeah,
is broken.
Still going through puberty over here. Sorry.
Wait
One
till
of
you're
these
my
days.
age.
One of these days, the other one's going to drop.
One of these days, Alice.
Gentlemen, we have two new patrons. I want to give a shout out to Jarrett over at Sleepy Creek Studios and
Yo.
Jeffrey Gardner. Welcome to the May Army.
We'll get your marching orders in the coming days.
Oh, wait, we have the
Yes.
thing now. Wait.
I always forget to.
Oh, was the volume low? Oh, I'm sorry.
It's always
What
God,
is-
it's like
Son
we've
of a
only
bee.
done this 223 times.
I'm sorry.
Are we trash?
We might be trash, but you know who's not trash is
Our
our
patrons.
VIP patrons.
Our
And
patrons.
they are Damon from BWG Woodworking, and Jeremy Claybaugh, Mike from Woodworking Weld, Jake Miller from A Sweet Shop, Daniel Dunlap for president. That's not accurate. That's Alex Adams from Type A Furniture. Oh, excuse me, I had a hiccup. John Herbolsheimer from Living Lath Woodworks, Jared LaPuma over at LL Builds, Tyler Booth at Temecula Yard Games, Henry Lutens from Manfredo Wood, Scotty at Elevated Studios, Charlie Coons at Stubby K Studios, Sarah Goldstein with Rosie's Woodshop, Michael at Gillette Woodworks, El Jefe Maker's Way, Wim Designs is Victor Aragama, the topless tier. That is still Nick Brim. He
Ew.
forgot to change it, or he just is keeping it. I don't know. Max and Liz Reed over at Reed Design Co. Bill Burkle at WTB Woodworking. Stay tuned. Jake Coneen at Dobby's Craft House. I want you to nick my brim real good. That is Patrick Gensel. Was that his name last week as well?
I don't
I
know.
think
It
it
might be
was.
slipping up.
These guys are slipping. Ed Mancini at Mancini Woodworking. Chris at Chris Will Make. Where's my apple pie, Sarah? I believe that was Scott from Red Lake Custom Woodworks' name last week as well.
Slipping up.
Max and Minnie Coons at Stubby K Studio. And Justin Bailey from Campfire Woodworks. Those are all of our VIP patrons.
Those aren't Douglas Fir patrons. Those are Douglas Fir patrons.
Douglas foot with a pinky
Douglas
up and a
Fir.
monocle.
I would, of all the firs and the pines, I would have to say they're redwood, curly redwood.
Ooh. Curly, like Home Depot curly?
Why is it red?
You can either go somewhere
Isn't-
nice and get Douglas fir, or you can go to Home Depot and get Dougie fir.
Dougie fur.
Actually,
Dougie fir.
is redwood a softwood or a hardwood? I think it's a softwood.
It's a
Medium
softwood.
wood.
Isn't it a type of cedar?
Yeah, I think it is.
That would
I'm
make it
questioning
a
everything I
hardwood.
know about woods right now. And the thing is, like, I have a computer at my fingertips, and I could look this up.
Click, 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 click.
Wait, isn't a cedar a
Research.
softwood?
Cedar is a
No.
softwood.
Wait,
What?
I thought cedar was a hardwood. It was just really
Coniferous
soft.
trees are a
Softwood.
softwood.
It's needles.
Is that where
Pine.
they eat other trees?
That's carnivorous.
Carnivorous.
No, that's if they eat people, like meats.
I hate that he's technically correct.
It's my favorite kind of correct. It's the
Whatever.
only one I shoot for.
Well, Dan, if someone wanted to become a patron of any tier, even the free tier, to learn more fun facts like this,
Well,
where would they go?
they could go to patreon.com/another woodshop podcast and you can get signed up over there. Everything you need to know is on that location.
And if you sign
That
up even
URL.
for the free tier, you will get
You
your
sign
name
up for
right
the
here.
free tier, I'll read your name.
He might
I'll
even
have
spell
a-
it right.
I'll have a free tier on my face.
Brick killed a guy.
Rick killed the guy.
Also, we need to make sure that anybody that wants to get involved with our patron levels does, because we have our quarterly stockholder meeting coming up.
yeah,
We need to pick a day.
that's going to be sometime in November. We're going to be
Yeah.
shooting for.
When November.
It is definitely happening by the end of the year. We're not going to postpone it. It's going to happen.
Don't worry, everybody. I'll schedule it, so
Yeah.
it'll be fine.
For everybody who wanted to know. And there's probably like a lot of people listening saying, screaming at their phone or whatever.
What
they're
about the
listening on.
trees?
Redwood lumber is a softwood. Confirmed.
Ooh. Wow. I guess you and
Soft-
Redwood have a lot in common.
Oh, got him.
I mean, it's not really a secret. I always admitted to that.
Perfectly average softwood.
If there's anything we learned about Dan, is that he's perfectly average. Dan forgot. It's like a running
Perfectly
joke
average
of-
softwood, you say, huh?
I've been trying to forget for 2 weeks now.
I've seen a Nebraskan redwood. And my eyes still burn. We didn't see anything, guys. I don't know what you're thinking. These are all innuendos. So,
Heyo.
keep it at that. But we also want to give a huge shout out to one of our top tier patrons and a proprietor of a new business opening up. WTB Woodworking is opening up in Huntingdon Valley, PA. The store grand opening is October 26th in just 2 days. So I'm going to be there. Keith's going to be there. I think Justin Bailey, Patrick are going to be there. There's going to be a big maker meetup. There's going to be the grand opening of the store, tons of discounts. He's going to have all the big brands. Festool. That's it. End of list. I'm kidding. No, Festool. SawStop. He's got Fuji sprayers. He's got epoxies. He's got bits and bits. There's so much stuff that he's like, I thought he was like gonna just, like open up a storefront on top of his lumber sales. He went nuts. Like he went all out. He's gonna have all the stuff that like we're missing because we don't have any Rocklers or Woodcrafts around here. So I'm really excited for that. And if you come to that, there's going to be free food, could be hot dogs, burgers, launch day discounts, specials, and you can get a free T-shirt with a purchase while supplies last. So make sure to go check that out. And if you're listening to this past this weekend, guess what? You don't have to go to the grand opening. You could just go to the store now and shop there. So make sure to go check that out. All the details are going to be in our show notes. And if you're going to be there as a patron, we'll see you guys in a few days.
If you do go and if you buy something, make sure to also use discount code AWP.
AWP.
It won't do anything, but
won't.
but
But it will confuse the checkout girl.
yeah, it really will. They will be confused. AW what?
Yep. Just type it in. I don't have anywhere to type it in.
Doesn't
Just type it in.
type it in. Type it in.
Just run the numbers.
You know who I am? I'm a top
Just moneyball
tier
it. Just moneyball it.
Can I talk to your manager? Where is Pete? He said he was going to be here. Well, guys, I think we should just jump into it because we haven't done this in a while, but
It's been
What's
84 years.
It's been 84
Oh.
years. Man, what is on y'all's benches? Dan?
Bros.
Patrons?
Bros?
Patrons are on my
Or Pedro?
bench.
The squeak doesn't
Well,
work?
obviously Etsy orders, but the tide is turning, folks.
Ooh.
Ooh.
I am doing way more tables than I ever imagined. If you go back and you listen to our goals episode for 2024, I think I remember saying that I wanted to do more furniture and tables.
I distinctly remember you saying that.
I don't
I
remember
am 100% doing that. It is crazy. Right now in my order queue, there are 15 tables that need to be made on top of like the ZCIs and the bow ties and everything too.
that. Is the other
So-
stuff slowing down or that's still going strong?
It's still going strong. It's all good. It's all a good problem to have. I'm just having a little hard time keeping up. I do have Sutton in the shop now helping me, which is a tremendous help. In fact, I was able to let him work in the shop alone while I ran to the doctor today. I had to get my eyes checked. So when I left, I was like, hey, I don't have a whole lot of rules. Just don't lose an arm or anything. He goes, you got it, boss.
He promptly
getting-
lost a leg.
You getting bifocals, Dan?
I've been wearing bifocals. I have lineless bifocals.
Now-
I don't. You
Now
didn't
he's
know
getting trifocals.
that?
Quadfocals.
I am getting thicker glasses, unfortunately. The eye doctor told me today, he goes, your eyesight is about as bad as like somebody who's in their mid 50s. I was like, oh, that's good to hear.
rude.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, listen, Doc, I've ridden these eyes hard and put them away wet.
Every
I
night
hope
I
so,
put them away
'cause
wet.
otherwise you have dry eye disease or whatever they call it.
Dryitis.
Dryitis.
Draditis?
Yeah. So we haven't done the what's on our bench in a long time. So I don't know if I've
Very long
mentioned the
time.
fact that I made a new table design.
Oh.
I posted it on Instagram. It got a pretty good reception.
What's the name?
What did I name that?
The Austin?
No. The Mesa. I'm going with the
Ooh.
Mesa.
Oh.
Because as I learned, I didn't know this. I'm trying to go after the theme of naming my tables after cities now, which I think it's cool. Whatever. And I think it's a good idea to have a theme for your furniture too. Anyways,
hold on. I want to write down what I think you're about to say. So keep talking.
Okay. I didn't know this, but I found out on Threads, believe it or not. Mesa is Spanish for table. I didn't know that.
Mesa means table.
Oh.
I didn't know that. That was a complete because I was saying I wanted to name my furniture after cities, and I felt like this table has kind of like a Southwest vibe, or at least that's kind of what I was going for. And I was like, okay, it's going to be the Austin or the Mesa, Mesa, Arizona.
The Flagstaff.
And then when I post stuff on Instagram, it cross posts to Threads, and I hardly ever look at Threads. And I happen to look at Threads because now you get notifications from Threads on Instagram. I don't know if you guys have noticed that.
I have and I hate it.
So you have life-threatening posts now?
Boo. Boo
Yeah.
this man.
I never signed up for Threads, and I'm so glad I didn't.
I've deleted it twice.
I deleted it once. I'm back on board.
Twice. So, yeah,
Anyways,
exactly.
I got a notification that somebody commented on it, so I went to Threads to look at it, and they said, I can't remember who said it, but they were like, actually, Mesa is Spanish for table, and I was like, oh my god, that's the winner. So,
Well, your next one should be called Stew. Stew.
is that
Not
Polish for
stool,
table?
Stew. It's Polish for a table.
How did I know
So-
that was coming?
Yep. So
Maybe
you
I
can-
should just change the whole theme and go for table in different languages.
And it's spelled STUL with a weird line through it that makes a
Oh.
W sound.
I already have
the
an idea
dots.
for the design of this table. The top is going to be a screen door.
Huh?
Polish submarine screen door. No,
It's a landlocked country. They don't have submarines.
never mind. It's a bad joke.
See, you don't know your geography because it's not a landlocked country.
Poland is the
Yes,
Nebraska
John.
of Europe.
Busted. Busted.
Is Polish the only triply landlocked country in
We touched the Baltic. Our junk is in the Baltic. I live 15
Just a
minutes
tip.
from the Baltic Sea.
that can get you canceled these days? Yeah, so long story short, I haven't even listed that table yet because I can barely keep up with what I currently have. So it's becoming almost imperative that I get a bigger space if things keep going the way they're going. And we're just strolling into the holiday season where things are really going to start ramping up.
Dan's
So
almost to the point of going double full time.
I'm a little nervous. Yeah, I just offered Sutton more hours too. So I was like, aha. And then he goes, actually, I just applied for a job somewhere else in the evenings. I'm like, oh man.
Listen,
Goes,
you tell
don't worry,
him
I'm not quitting here in the mornings. I'm like, okay, that's good.
You tell him he just applied until he has like, hey, here's your first day. He works until his fingers are down to the bones.
I can't do that to him. He's a good kid.
Okay, I'll do it. Work harder.
Also-
you lazy bum.
Also, speaking of bums, Braden and I are getting ready to do our craft fairs for the year. Those are coming up quickly. We're doing the one craft fair on when? November 9th?
November 9th, Westside
Yeah.
High School, if you're in the area.
Yeah. So that is not too far away. So I need to start looking at making stuff for that. Luckily, I have a backlog of stuff that I've had from years past, and I've been adding to it a little bit here and there as time goes on. But I always feel like I need more, and I think Braden, you can agree with that. You always feel like you don't have enough. Oh gosh, I don't want to run out of stuff. And not only are we doing that one, but we got another one on the 23rd of November. So got to have enough stuff for both. So
When November ends.
speaking of Braden, do you want to talk about your week now? Would you like to go?
I can go.
Just
I
be
do wanna-
warned. Be warned. You know I'm gonna think of stuff that I forgot to mention, and I'm gonna interrupt you. That's just what I do.
Well, before I start talking about my bench, I do want to point out something. Dan, every single year you talk about like your goals for the year, and it's been increasing Etsy sales. Last year it was increasing your furniture sales. And every single year you hit like 3/4 of the way through the year, and you're like, oh, I've nominated my goal for the year.
Meanwhile,
So-
every time we ask him when we're like, oh, we're gonna have a goal episode, and he's like, I don't
Years
want to do that.
past.
That's stupid. I'm just gonna make some stuff up.
yeah.
Yeah, in
Like-
years past I've said I don't do goals.
Because I remember we had this conversation a bunch of times of you were ZCI heavy towards the end of last year, and you're just like, I feel like it's draining me. I'm not being as creative. I want to build some more furniture. Like I really want to start doing some tables. And then you've done it. And now how many different table designs do you have up or close to up with
1, 2,
the Mesa?
3, 4. I currently have 5, I think. And
I mean,
that
that's-
doesn't include the Mesa.
That's not a small number of like just completely
No.
unique table designs. So good on you. Proud of you.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, like I said, I'm gonna interrupt you. I'm trying to like show Sutton how to run the CNCs because I want him to be able to do everything in case I have to leave the shop for something. Because running a business isn't just being in your shop. I have to go to lumber yards and go to the store and go do this, go do that.
Negotiate deals.
Negotiate deals like a real business. Yeah, so he needs to learn how to run the CNC. And I slowly started showing him a while back, and then we kind of slipped away from it. But it's become an imperative that he learns this. And today when I went to the eye doctor, he's like, I said, how much do you remember about running the CNC? Do you think you could run it when I leave here? He goes, your file system is so bad. Like, he goes, running the CNC
That tracks.
isn't a problem. It's your file system that's
Me
going to keep
finding
me
it.
from doing it. I'm like, yeah, that's accurate. So I need to like manage that, I think.
To be fair, my file system is kind of a mess. Like I
Oh,
have a
the
NAS
thing
that I
is,
try to
like,
organize it on, but
I
then
know where
everything
everything's
just
at.
ends up on my laptop in random spots on a desktop.
Yeah. I know where everything's at. It's just there's no like rhyme or reason to it.
Dan's
It's pretty
computer is
chaotic.
basically a digital version of
a Casey's
underneath his table saw.
Oh,
It is
yeah.
packed and unorganized.
Well, somehow Sutton was able to
And
figure
Sutton-
that out.
and Sutton needs to clean it.
Yeah. Maybe that's what he can do tomorrow. Here,
That's a
organize
full-time
my
job.
files.
But No, I just again I'm super impressed because every single like you downplay all of this business that you do, and it's always really impressive when you start talking about it because again you're the full-time guy here, and you're doing furniture design. So I know that you're a lot happier doing that.
Very
And
much
so
so.
I'm glad you've gotten there. My bench is similar to Dan's in the sense that I am starting to prep for craft fairs. I'm doing exactly what I tell myself every single time not to do, and that's panic. And like the week leading up to the event, I will be up until 2 in the morning every single night making cutting boards, making trivet trays, like just make
Because
like
why
just
would you make it
pumping.
now if you can make right before?
Well, yeah. Well,
Right.
well, okay. We could delve deeper into like how like I'm broken as a person. I
Remember,
No, I do. I'm not making fun of you. I do that too.
remember
all
when we
have-
did the holiday prep episode and we were telling people how to do this stuff? And
and then
hey,
we
listen to what I
completely
say,
ignore.
not what I do.
Yeah. No, we all have like a touch of the ADHD, and like we need the pressure of a deadline
Like
to
touch of the chism.
that's what I call that dog in me.
No one
But-
says that.
Mm-mm.
No one has ever said that.
But anyway, so I'm starting to make some stuff that I know I don't have in my 3 different containers of craft fair stuff that's just literally just sat in my shop in almost the exact same spot since last craft fair we did in the spring. It's been a minute. So I'm literally piling stuff that's unfinished that I have to go oil or sand or something just on top of it, and it's building up. So I started kind of getting ready for that. I've got some ideas for how we can improve some of our packaging, how we can improve some of our presentation. So we got some stuff ordered. I'm already in the hole for the craft fair, so it better be good or else I'll just lose less money.
You've been in the hole since 2015.
Ayo.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, well, again, they keep telling us that businesses you're supposed to run at or below zero so that you don't pay taxes. So that's all I'm
Yep.
doing.
That's just smart.
Yeah, I'm just doing tax stuff.
Business.
Somebody tell Dave Ramsey so he could have a panic attack. What else was oh, I also needed to get some packaging that kind of ties into the craft fair. Can't remember if I mentioned this, but I signed a consignment contract at a local boutique, little boutique.
Bottega, like bodega.
Bottega Bahama. Hey, you pretty mama.
Oh,
Don't
No.
respect the bodega.
So I need to get some stuff over there because there was some delay in like, hey, here's the contract, and then hey, the dates are now so late that like I redlined it, and then I just got a message saying like, hey, I've got space for you. I'm like, you never acknowledged that I signed the contract and you were okay with the dates, but okay, fine, whatever. So I need to get some Christmas ornaments out there, which I'm not a fan of because it's a reminder Christmas is in like 2 months.
Oh,
Like we're there.
it's less than that, really.
It's less than that. It's
It's
oh no,
Well,
actually
it
no,
is
it's the
October.
24th. It is.
Dead
It's
on.
October 24th.
We're
He's right.
on
It's 2 months.
the eve of 2 months from now.
in
Damn it,
2
he's
months
right.
from now, we will be telling you guys, we hope you did what we said, not what we did. So I've got to get that. I have the biggest piece of ash
Yeah, you
on
do.
my literally on my bench right now. I had to pick up a big piece of 8-quarter ash because
So heavy, isn't it?
it's dense.
Dance boy.
Also, it's really funny because I got a 14-foot length of it, and you've seen my truck. It's a medium-sized truck. So,
Truck. You have a truck
It's a
like Pete has a
Jeep.
truck.
excuse you, you've seen sheet goods in my truck.
Sorry, I
Um,
can't.
I've seen
I had to
sheep
pick-
in it.
I had to pick up the ash. The ash is going to be a staircase and like balcony railing at the same house. My other brother, not Sutton, has basically become the general contractor.
How many
for
brothers do you have?
Just
And
the
are they all
2.
looking for jobs?
Just the 2. One is definitely not looking for jobs.
Damn it.
He does HVAC. And then one sister who's also not looking for a job. But He's
Got a
become the general
sister.
contractor for
No.
I'm using air quotes, general contractor for a insurance claim at his girlfriend's house where there was water damage.
Are we on the cusp of like
It sounds like insurance fraud, but let's just skip over this.
No, it's I promise it's not. I promise it's not.
it's legal-ish.
He's just doing a lot of the work. So they're basically taking the money that they'd spend in
To the
labor
casino. Oh,
and using it to like upgrade materials and make some changes. He's just doing a lot of the labor for free.
It's
So
just insurance fraud with extra steps.
I'm not the expert here. All I know is that the work is getting done that they are telling insurance.
It is not insurance fraud. Something's actually getting worked on.
Yes. No. The actual work is getting done. They're just not paying somebody else a profit margin. They're doing it based on, hey, we're friends. Like I like you, that sort of thing. So, also my dad's 6 months from retirement, so he just needs something to do, and he likes stuff like this. It's a whole thing. It's
Sorry,
consumed our lives.
I'm just imagining like there's a scenario because you're like, oh, hey, we're friends and we like each other. It's basically the equivalent of like, oh no, I don't know how I'm gonna pay for all this plumbing and HVAC.
what are you doing, step friend?
Whoa.
Oh, wait, wrong.
Oh, good Lord.
Oh God.
It's definitely not insurance fraud for me, though, because my business invoiced for an actual product and labor. But this is the same person that I'm doing the kitchen island for. So I've got stuff showing up for the kitchen island. I have, let's see, 30 cabinet door faces and drawer faces that I am cutting on the CNC, which I hope you guys are excited for some just riveting content of shaker doors on the CNC, because that's about all I'm about to have.
It could be riveting if you put rivets in it.
Hey, let's
watch
watch me make frames without the hole in the center. Let's go.
It will be kind of interesting. I'm kind of excited to do this. The cabinets for the island, I'm gonna try and make
an island boy.
Oh no!
I just broke his brain.
True American heroes, those guys.
I'm gonna try and design them on the CNC in Vectric, so that they will come off. I'll cut the tabs and basically sand everything, but all the dados what's the joint I'm thinking of with the overlap?
Half flap?
Rabbit.
All the rabbits are all the rabbits will be pre-cut.
Oh, I should have been thinking.
All the dados will be pre-cut. The shelf pin holes, those will all be done, and they should be perfectly square because the computer designed them, and I can just slap them all together, and they should be good to go. So that'll be interesting.
You trust computers?
I do, and I keep my money in the banks. I don't know where to go with that joke, but that's kind of what I'm working on is craft show artsy fartsy stuff, and then cabinets, which is the exact opposite of the stuff that I normally try and do. So should be fun. It turns out there's money in cabinets.
There is, from what I understand.
There's also work in cabinets.
Oh yeah.
And there's installs that you have to deal with.
And that's the thing. Like, I've looked, some cabinet guys get away with not installing them. They make the cabinets and then somebody on site has to install them. I want to be that guy. I want to make them and never see them again.
I think that really comes down to what you're licensed for. I think to install cabinets, you have to have a different kind of like contractor license because you're kind of
driver's license.
I don't think that's the same. I also could be like talking out of my butt here. So
no, you have to be insured differently.
Also true,
because you're on site somewhere, and that's why on a bunch of like, if you have an HVAC guy coming by on the side of the van in big letters, fully insured, in case they like burn your house down.
Because once upon a time, I had a license to install things into homes as long as I didn't change the structural integrity of the home.
Okay, James Bond.
Yeah, so
license to install.
I let it lapse. I don't do any of that anymore.
I have no desire to go into people's homes. I've done enough of that stuff on the side or for other companies where, like, especially with older houses, which is all of New Jersey, it's a nightmare. You never know what you're going to find. I've cut into walls and been like, I'm sure this is asbestos. Where's my mask? I don't even have one. I'm just the guy that cuts holes in walls.
The licensing and the codes are different in every state. So don't take what I'm saying with
ask an adult.
Yeah.
In your
take
state.
what I'm saying with a grain of salt is what I wanted to say. There we go.
Ask an adult with a .gov website.
Yeah.
Oh, and then this is not something I'm doing yet, but I did just get reached out to by the first customer that I ever had. I did a set of built-ins. And this was like my first like big boy job where I charged somebody that I didn't know. Those were overbuilt. They were rock solid. But he just when I built them, I'm assuming that they still are.
Okay.
Because he's recommending me to other people. So I had somebody else reach out about, hey, are you still doing built-ins? Which I have this like love-hate the same thing with the cabinets. I've got this love-hate relationship with it. There's good money in it. And I kind of like doing built-ins. I just hate scribing, which is a kind of a big deal with built-ins.
Watch Keith's videos. You'll get really good at
watched
built-ins.
them. I've watched a lot of Keith videos, especially recently. I've had a Lamello maybe pulled up on my phone and thought I could be a cabinet guy.
You don't need a Lamello.
I know, but it'd be cool, and it comes in a sustainer, so gotta have it.
That's unsustainable.
Yeah, that's how you become a professional. You buy tools and sustainers.
Oh, but you run out of space because the sustainers take up so much space. It's unsustainable.
Yeah, but that's how you become a professional woodworker is with sustainers. If I want to be a professional like tradesman, I'd get packouts. So it's different.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But I'm kind of interested. So I'm starting that discussion, getting some drawings, getting some like ideas that they have of what they want. What'll be really interesting is I'm really hoping that the customer that referred him didn't tell him what he paid for it. Because I, one, undercharged, and two, undercharged. Like, because it was back when, like, this is my first time. I've never done this. I have no concept of how long it's actually going to take to do this. I told myself these built-ins were going to take about 10 hours on site. Let me tell you, they took 2 months.
What? That's crazy. I didn't expect that at all.
I know.
Wow.
Dumb. Just dumb, Braden. So I'm really hoping he didn't tell him what he paid because this guy's in for a shook. He's in for a shock.
It's going to be
Shook.
Shaken, not stirred.
The one thing that I do still have going for me over like cabinet shops doing stuff like this is I can still get them done faster because those guys, like, they're booked out still. So when I tell them, hey, I can have it done probably in about 2 months instead of 12 weeks to 18 weeks before they even start, usually that helps a little bit, but we'll see. We'll see how that one goes.
Good luck.
By the way, speaking of pack outs, did you guys know that Harbor Freight, their Bauer brand, has pack out boxes now? Or as they call them, system modular organizers. Guys, I was in a store and I'm like, these can't be that good. Because, I use those black and yellow boxes that are like $7. Black and yellow. Those are trash. They're fine if you never want to tilt that briefcase sideways. If you hold it flat, you're good. They're good. These pack out boxes, they're legit.
Are they?
They're like $35, and those
Bowers always remind me of Milwaukee. I wonder if they are compatible with the Milwaukee.
They are not.
Okay.
They are if you clamp hard enough.
Yeah. Yeah, technically he's not wrong. But it felt, like when you closed it up, those boxes aren't moving in there. Nothing's coming out, which is nice. That's
interesting.
Kind of the feature of the pack out box that
good
some
old
pack
Harbor
boxes
Freight.
don't have. Harbor Freight coming out of left field lately with some good stuff.
Man, I'll tell you what, they make a good dust collector.
I tell you what,
They're coming out of left field with just some good old, proprietary knowledge theft and intellectual property theft, and it's working for the people.
I mean, and wait till they start a podcast. Join us for the Hercules Hour.
I'm actually really banking on the fact that you can't briefcase tilt those black and yellow containers. I'm really banking on that because it's going to keep you from seeing some stuff.
Here's the thing.
Oh.
Oh God, son of a biscuit eating bulldog. The thing is, I've gotten really good about gripping one so hard, even if it's filled, that when I pull it out, it only dips like 3 inches, and I hold.
Man, there are
like
so
that.
many jokes in here.
I know.
Good Lord, I can't
just
keep up.
letting it drop.
Pete's just here closing rings, baby. Just closing rings.
Oh yeah. Speaking of which, I'm
Speaking of-
almost done closing my rings. So
Speaking of closing rings, let's open your heart and hear what you've got on your bench today.
Shut your face. When you talk like that, it makes me go flaccid. I get
Perfectly average flaccid, though.
I get a direction. It goes inside me. All right.
This was another episode of Hercules Audio Time.
Not even a podcast, just audio time. Anyways, Harbor Freight sponsor us. I'm all for that. And they make some really good zip ties, guys.
We'll pay you guys $87 each.
Yeah. I get tons of stuff on Harbor Freight. And the thing is, like, Harbor Freight, don't sleep on Harbor Freight. They're active on social media too.
They are. They're very active.
Yeah. They're about it. What's going on in my life? Are you
still a dad?
I'm still a dad. She's still here.
Wait, you got a baby?
Dude, she's wide awake now. So not like physically right now, just she has like
in general in life.
She turned on. We unlocked the DLC where she makes noises and recognizes us and smiles.
She leveled up.
And she'll chill. Like we just put her on a couch and she'll just like, oh, my hands. Yum, yum, yum.
Time to get an iPad.
Well, this kid is so spoiled. Like even today, she doesn't get a phone or an iPad. We put her in front of the 100-inch projector and she gets dancing fruit and vegetables.
Life size. No, that'd be bigger than life size for her. Holy
yeah,
moly.
I know. They're like giant broccolis the size of me.
Yeah, pooping her pants scared.
This level of overstimulation definitely won't come back to bite you later.
Not at all.
I mean, vegetables are pretty mellow. It's not like,
Yeah.
Whatever.
Until you tried to feed her broccoli and then she'll have trauma.
I guess that is why the saying is chill as a cucumber.
Why?
Dan said that vegetables are pretty chill.
I don't understand. No, I don't get it.
I didn't say that.
We both just shut that down.
I can't wait for. I can't.
I'm sorry. I love you. I love you.
I can't wait for Harbor Freight to try and poach me to their podcast audio time.
You can't. You're under contract. No, but she's great. Everything's good. I am. Speaking of her, my daddy leave is up next. Friday. I go back to work.
Bro,
but I made a prediction and it's got to come true.
Go full time. Yeah.
Don't make. It was a perfectly average.
So as far as all the goals I set for my paternity leave, I hit very few of those goals. And all the people that were like, don't set huge goals, like you're just going to spend a lot of time with her. You're not going to be able to focus on anything. Don't worry if you don't do stuff, just like relax and have a good time. Thank you for saying all that, everyone. Because once in a while I have to like think back to that. Like, I'm not getting anything done. My business isn't growing. Like I'm bonding with my kid and she's great. So I'm really glad I took the 3 months off. Going back next week. It's not like my business is like blowing up, but everything's coasting. It's good. We've built some good stuff for the holidays. We're pretty set for one of the other things is we have a craft fair as well. We have our big holiday market, and we're pretty well prepped for that. At least we know what we need to do. We know what we got to get done. We know what stock we have from last year. We're talking in the pre-show and in the in-between show about like bags and what the cellophane bags and shopping bags and what to do for tables and tablecloths, like all this stuff. Like we're pretty prepped. Like we have all the supplies we need, or we know what we need to order. You guys are trying to figure out what bags to get because people like bags at these events.
People love
it's nice.
bags.
Yeah,
They
that
love
was
bags. And
that
don't,
was one of those things.
by the way, don't discount just like get like a pack of like t-shirt bags. You know, they call them t-shirt, but like the regular, like what you get at a store. In New Jersey, they're
I hate those
illegal.
bags.
Plastic
Yeah.
bags.
Plastic bags, just regular plastic bags. Get like 100 pack of them or whatever for like quick
I
one
feel
off.
like
Or
a
like,
bad human if we bought
deserve
those,
it.
though.
You don't deserve a bag. But or if they get a lot of stuff, like you might need to give them something hardier. I don't know. Just have options. I've had both of them just in case. But yeah, we're prepping for that. We're also working. So something happened last week that we actually didn't really talk about. Etsy stopped supporting Pirate Ship, which is how
Those
all of us
bastards.
like we all sync our Etsy. It automatically used to sync all the customer information, and when you would complete an order, it would go back to Etsy. They discontinued support. If you were enrolled, you will continue to work, but I have
If you
to
ever
like
log out,
if I have had to like reinitialize it or whatever, like twice a year, I'd say. So like I'm just counting down to days.
mhm.
So they only support Shippo and ShipStation. And this is going to
Must
be
have made some sort of contract with them.
yeah, well, they've always been like partners, like they had them on their site. So I will do this as a call to action. If you use Shippo or ShipStation for Etsy or for Shopify, please let us know like what your experience has been. I would love for you guys to call in or write in even and tell us which option you guys went with and why, because we're all kind of looking at that down the line as like, hey, this is going to be something we're going to have to deal with. You know,
I have a
You just-
confession.
go ahead.
I never synced Pirate Ship to Etsy.
Well, you're not now.
I have just manually dealt with it since the beginning.
Copied and pasted?
Copied and pasted.
Like an Amish?
A pour. Like a
Ugh.
pour.
The worst.
I did that for a while too, and then once you sync it up and well, I did it because of all the tables I've been selling, and I'm like, I got tired of copying and pasting it because I'm doing so much work.
I'm doing well.
Humble brag.
Dan 2024.
No, I synced it up because of that, and it's so much better. It's so
Look
much
at
better.
the
All the
table
smaller
emperor.
stuff. All the smaller stuff that I sell, the ZCIs, the bow ties, I just buy shipping right through Etsy because it's the same price and it just seems easier.
None of my items have their weight or whatever on there or box size.
Oh, I do it
anything like
all. I do it all manually. There, I got a scale right there. I'll just go boom, boom. Plus, I do so much of the same. Like it's all up here. I know what it is, and I know what the sizes and everything.
that. I just got spoiled because I have all my boxes and all the weights preset. So like it in Pirate Ship, if I'm shipping something that I shipped even a year and a half ago, 2 years ago,
Yeah,
it's
I
like,
get it.
oh, this item's this weight, and this is the box you use. I'm like, well, thank you, awesome, and you could just hit continue.
Right.
So I'm really bummed. I'm hoping that the integration will come back, but I mean, otherwise, we might just have to look at one of the other options, and I think they're not free. I gotta double check. I think.
I want to say they're a paid service.
Yeah,
There's a
so
monthly fee.
we'll see. Or you go through Etsy and you pay a little more and just work it into the price. You know, it's a tough thing, and this is one of those things where you know you have to deal with this as a store, as a point of sale. Like there's things that are just going to go up in price. And right now we're in the also what started last week, the holiday shipping surcharge. Yay! Which means everything's up like 40 cents or something
Mhm.
until January.
Oh no,
mid-January.
that never goes away. They just adopt that as their new.
They
price.
just work.
Inflation.
Every year it just gets more expensive. So a
Thanks,
lot of
Obama.
Etsy stuff that we all have to deal with. And
Did you know this about Etsy? You can save presets on the Etsy shipping. So like, if you have a box that you send all the time, you can just pick that as a preset.
yeah, so well, I've never done it on Etsy. We have it actually. So in Pirate Ship, all of our boxes have numbers. So it's a 633 box, a 792 box, and it's or 927 box. It's whatever the X, Y, and Z of the box is. That's the number.
Mhm.
So we can clearly and easily always tell like which box it is, and I actually have them labeled as they're stacked above. So Emma can walk
you're
up and be
super
like, "I need a
organized.
1054," and she grabs that box, and she knows exactly which box it is. That's the dimensions. It's pre-folded for her. And it's great. It makes like packing when you're sitting down there and packing stuff. Because I used to pack at the end of the day, and I would spend half that time just folding boxes and stuff and trying to figure out which one is which. Because when they're unfolded, you know, like I don't know, it's origami. Like I don't know which one is which. Sometimes I fold it and I go, even I have 20 of these. So yeah, I gotta set it up on Etsy. I think I'm gonna try to move a lot of the stuff there. But the problem is like I'm still using Shopify and TikTok Shop. That all gets synced into there. So I had one platform that had everything, and then Etsy went ahead and just kind of like said F you to a bunch of people that like, who cares where we get shipping? We're still giving you the fees. Like, don't be a dick about it.
I thought I read something where they wanted to start charging for the API.
I don't know.
So Pirate Ship didn't get in on that deal.
I mean, it makes sense. Why would they want to pay for the API? I mean, their service is already kind of free anyway.
Yeah. And
they're
they
not charging people for their
they
service.
worked out some deal with UPS too. And like, I have no UPS shop close to me, like, or a box even to drop off. USPS is right around the corner. Easy to drop, or I put it in a mailbox. You know, I don't want to have to schedule pickups for all my stuff every time I need to get something out. But whatever, that's just me whining about it.
That's one of the benefits to Dan and I not living someplace that plays the banjo every single time you walk outside is we have access to FedEx, UPS, and USPS.
I don't.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of people, a lot of our maker community people don't either. They live out in the middle of nowhere.
I am lucky in that regard. I have a UPS store about 3 to 4 minutes from my house, and I got a post office about 5 or 6 minutes from my
Weird
house.
flex.
One more
Very
check on the side of the line for Pete and Emma move to Nebraska.
Yes.
Yeah, I moved from an area where I had a UPS and FedEx store within 2 minutes of my house. I moved for a reason. Too much
Because you didn't
shipping.
like being close to that?
You can have it all.
I used to have it all. But aside from that, on the Etsy front, so before that got discontinued, we actually have a second Etsy that's just been sitting there. And that's Emma's Etsy. We set this up like for a class that we were teaching one year, and it just sat. Like we threw a couple of things up there, and I think she may have gotten like 2 sales, and it's just sat. And
Tree workshops.
No, eTree, yeah, just eTree. And right now I think it's literally just Emma Rose Kapar, like it's her name, and it's just been sitting there. So we're like, you know what? Like we've been talking about doing, because there's a lot of stuff that's like kind of like with lasers. I lean into the laser stuff a lot, and there's a lot of just cutesy stuff that like doesn't fit my page at all. It's like tool things, and then I have like pretty little things, whatever.
Cactus.
Like, the cactuses and like some even like ornaments like kind of don't fit with the vibe of that shop. So we're gonna double list them to the other one as well. We're gonna change some stuff up. And apparently Etsy doesn't care about that. If it's almost identical to another listing, as long as you can fulfill both, it won't matter. I learned that from Patrick Gensel because he says he has duplicate listings of certain things, and he might get sales on both of them, and Etsy won't flag it in any way because he's still able to fulfill both, and that's what matters. So a listing's a listing. So yeah, so we're trying. You know, we kind of refined Emma's shop. We're gonna throw some stuff up there. I think she's working right now on moving all the cactuses and our ornaments over there, so we have a duplicate listing, and we wanted to make sure that Pirate Ship was enrolled with that, and we're gonna figure out what we're gonna do with the whole shipping thing. So that's gonna be fun. So aside from that, I had a fun little event today that I kind of want to talk with you guys about because it kind of involves Dan dodging a bullet. No, it's you dodging a bullet. So
okay.
So I was milling some lumber today, and I have the new like Gyro 700 G700 dust collector from Harvey, right? That I won in that giveaway where Dan almost punched me in the face in front of a bunch of people in California because he was really mad. It
was a good time.
Dan, you dodged a bullet. You dodged a bullet with that dust collector. It's a great CFMs on that thing. The suction is awesome. Like it's super powerful. I actually now kind of love that it's just low to the ground and I literally have a table built over it. But all the ports on it come out in weird spots. Like the actual dust collection comes out of a 6-inch port on the front to the left side. So you have to have like a 90 and a 90.
Yeah, I always thought that was kind of weird.
Very weird. Then there's the whole side of it has to be open. It can't be like tucked into the corner on the one side because the flap drops and then you drop the hopper, but it's not a single hopper. It's a large and a small hopper that catches the big stuff and the smaller stuff.
A double HAPA?
Dude, so there's that, right? You pull that out and the bags are like, it's not like there's like a lot of bag left. If the thing is filled, you're pulling right at the edges. Like you can't tie it. It's like, so I have to dump it into another bag. So I'm like, all right, cool. Like and I've dealt with that before because I've emptied it out. Apparently I've done a lot of sanding since I got it because I was like, as I'm emptying out the bag, I'm like, why does that clean out? So there's two clean out ports. There's two, like they're not HEPA filters, but filter things on the all the way on the right side of it. And it goes to the bottom. So these two little buckets, and then there's two openings that you have to hook up a clean out. So you're supposed to either clean out one at a time, but like it's tucked away. So what a lot of people do is just run two hoses into a Y, and then from that Y, once in a while you have to hook up your dust collector to itself, and it does like a human centipede thing. Like it just kind of vacuums out the dust as you're cleaning the filter. It pulls it back into the dust collector and it drops it into the hoppers.
That's a horrible metaphor, and I hate it.
I know. Well, that's what it felt like when I was trying to clean it out. So I like turn it on and I accidentally break the seal on the cap that's on it, and it starts just shooting. It's underneath my laser. It's shooting the dust right at the laser. And then I'm just like, okay, so I cap it, I turn it off because, winds up and winds down. It takes a little while for it to start and stop.
No cap?
No cap. bussin'. So I get it hooked up, I put a seal on it, whatever, and then I see the hose that's running out. It's just solid, like not sawdust, but like fine.
The powder?
The powder just caked. So I'm tapping on it, trying to break it up. And because this thing is beautiful, this machine is actually sexy. It's all metal, everything, except the two freaking hoppers that catch the sawdust from the filters are these cheap plastic pieces of like the worst thing ever. So even when you try to clamp on it, if you clamp too hard, it'll just like slip off. It'll fold in on itself and slip off. So it had it just like as tight as it could go. So as I'm trying to like beat this thing up, and break up the sawdust in there, it like detaches. And the machine's running at full capacity. It starts blowing it into my shop, completely coats everything in dust. And I'm trying to like cap it with my hand. I'm holding my breath because it's right in my face. It was the worst thing ever. Finally get it off. I get it capped. I clean out the lines with my Festool vacuum. I'm sticking my hand in there trying to vacuum it out. I sent you guys a video.
Yeah.
Finally cap it off. And I'm like, if Dan actually won this thing, if you had it in your shop,
I would have lost my mind.
You would have like set this thing on fire in your front yard. It's a sexy machine. The suction, the CFMs are amazing on it. They are actually better than a Laguna. But man, the clean out and the double hopper, real pain in the ass. Don't love that.
Until Nick and I would have to go fix the problem, it would be hilarious if Dan got rid of the Harvey because it was too good at capturing that fine dust, replaced it, got so jazzed, only to have the exact same issue with a different machine. That would have been hilarious.
Yes, but here's the thing. So the thing is, this machine wasn't filled anytime until this time. This is the first time that I've actually had it like filled, right? But the dust that was in the filter and in that clean out, that wasn't the stuff I was milling. That was sanding from the last couple of weeks or months. Like
Do
since
you have
August.
your actual sanders hooked up to your regular dust collection? You're not
Yes.
using a dust
Usually if I'm
extractor,
running
like,
the sanders, I will hook it up to a 4-inch because I have a Y that's a 4 and a 2. So usually I'll hook up one section to one side, one to the other. So I try to use, anytime I'm using a bigger sander, either the belt or the oscillating spindle sander, I will try to, hook up the big dust collector. Because why not? Like
I thought you weren't supposed to reduce down that small on like a big machine.
hey, 2.5 inches isn't small.
No, but
Perfectly
it's a
average port
4
size.
to a 4 and 2.
Okay.
So it's like, think of like a Y. You go from 4 to 2 4s.
I guess all
It's
of
a
my stuff is
4
coming down from a
And a
6.
4 and a 2, which is honestly one of the best. Like if you can make some kind of custom dust collection for a lot of things, like especially sanders, there's usually a piece POS hookup, like a 2.5 inch at the end, right? But like it barely collects. You can hook up a 4-inch hose to it and you're not getting any great collection. If you hook up a 2.5 to that and then have even just clamp a 4-inch pipe just right where all the dust is shooting, you're going to have a great time. Like you will have way less dust.
Let me just say that I am so happy with my Harbor Freight dust collection system now.
This actually had me thinking, like, Oneida, like a lot of people have the Oneida system now. They swear by it. And it looks like the most basic biatch system ever. Like so simple, so like
But maybe that's where it's at.
But you know what? Keep it simple, stupid.
Well,
A big cyclone, it drops into the hopper, and then a little bit and goes into the filter. That's it.
we were talking about that earlier today, and I mean, I've been trying to convince myself to get that Harvey dust collector because I keep telling myself like, oh, what I've got is it's like hacked together. It's a modified Harbor Freight, and I keep trying to convince myself like, oh, spend the money, it's totally worth it. But end of the day, like I never have any problems after. Obviously, I'm a big fan of modifying the Harbor Freight system and getting just a big ass cyclone on it, and upgrading the impeller and putting like a big huge filter on it. But I mean, end of the day, you're in it for $400.
Yeah,
and it is stellar. Like it never doesn't work.
Yeah.
And to be clear, the Harbor Freight that I have is been modified. It's got a big filter on it. It's got a cyclone and all that stuff.
It looks like an Oneida system. It looks beefy. Now, here's the thing.
It hasn't clogged one time since I've been using it.
I'm not going to crap on this system completely. This could have just been user error. Maybe it wasn't meant for that much fine sawdust or whatever. Maybe that clean out needs to be checked like weekly, and I just haven't. Because I haven't cleaned it out once. So maybe it's on me too. Like I want to give it the benefit of a doubt. I actually really do like the way the machine looks. I think it's just a cool design. I like a cool looking tool, but simple things like that where you have to have access on 3 or a whole front of one side, the long side, and then one of the ends. That's a lot of access to have to a tool. And even you have to spin these little rotaries to do the clean out. My old Laguna had an automatic cleaner. So we would just kick on every 10 minutes and drop all the stuff into the hopper, and I just have to connect to that and just clean it out once in a while. So like there's like some pros and cons. Luckily I still own my Laguna. I'm in the future, if it doesn't work, then I'm just gonna swap back. We'll see.
It's got to be pretty annoying too, because one of the key benefits to the one that you have now is it's lower, and so you could build that table over it and all that.
And that table gets
some
used
weird gestures here, but
so much.
you can get it like back and out of the way or under something. But the fact that you've got to have access to like every single side kind of defeats.
You have to have access
that
to
design.
two sides, the long
And the
side
top.
and the right side. And the top, you have to have minimal access. You can't like fully frame it in.
Yeah.
Yeah, because even the hopper, it's a full like you turn these 2 knobs and the whole like front panel drops, so it needs full extension to the floor. It's not like you just take it off.
Like
it
a
needs
Little
that
John
full,
song?
like a full 20-inch arm, like swinging down like a moat, and that's what you roll out your hoppers on. Drawbridge. Thank you. The moat is your shop in this metaphor. But like it's these little like quality of life things. All right, which actually brings me to another thing I wanted to ask you guys about, because you guys were, Braden, you were complaining about some tools earlier, and you said you were going to talk about it later. But what are let me ask you guys this: what are the like 3 tools that you can't live without in your shop? Like Dan, what are 3 tools that you just can't live without? That you, or at least
Currently?
you use nonstop.
CNC, drum sander, bandsaw.
Okay, Braden.
CNC, obviously, laser, and I'm having to deal with this. My sanding, like I can't just say one sander, but my sanders. My brother has my sander, like my whole surf prep setup, and it's gone. And I'm apparently sanding stuff every day. Pete?
So for me, it's my laser, my bandsaw, and I would say my my drum sander. I love, like, that's one of my go-tos as well. Here's
Notice
the thing.
how none of us said dust collector after we were just talking about
Yeah. Well, we'll talk about that later. The reason I say that is because, like, it's hard to say. I've tried to kind of only have stuff in my shop that I use regularly. Everything in my shop I use. I even got rid of the lathe. I put it in storage, and I put the spindle sander because I actually use that thing quite a bit. And every station in my shop is being used. It's actively being used. The one that's being used the least, aside from my CNC, let's not talk about that, is the fiber laser that I just got for a contract. And like, I can't get rid of that. Like, that's content for the year, and I also like it. And I like using it anytime I do stuff, but it's like kind of a one-trick pony. But I am one tool too many in my shop, maybe even two tools too many, like too many stations. And I'm trying to figure out, and all these tools I use constantly, and I enjoy them, and I don't want to get rid of anything. But I think it's getting to the point where like the fiber laser might have to go into the basement, or I might have to get rid of my drill press and get a benchtop one. But then I'm like, I gotta find a bench for it. Like, where am I gonna put it?
Just put it on your Onefinity table.
No. That's a great table. I don't want to get rid of it.
That would be like the ultimate joke for everybody but you, is like you
just
bolt
mount my
down,
tools.
you bolt down a desktop.
Wait, no. I wouldn't bolt it down. I would just run a tool path. Like, and actually pre-thread everything, and then just like tap everything into my table.
And you could inset it a little bit.
Yeah.
Make a pocket for it to sit in.
So let's look at the flip side of that question though. What's like the one tool or the one thing that you've added to your shop that you were either so pumped about, you bought into some hype, I'm going to use it every day. Like, what's that one thing you should have never spent the money?
Wait, was that an actual question?
No, that was a me question.
This is a Braden question.
Okay.
This was a me question.
So I'll quickly answer this. And it's the fiber laser. I thought it was going to be the coolest freaking thing on a planet. I was so excited for it, and it's like it just engraves metal.
Yeah, how often are you?
How often am I engraving metal?
Coins?
And it's like really.
Hold on.
It's cool. It's very cool. It's freaking awesome. But
don't get rid of it.
No, I can't.
I did technically just make a pretty big pitch for a product that I'm just telling you now. I'm going to need you to engrave some stuff for me.
That's fine. Here's the thing. The machine's not going anywhere. Like what we're talking about here with that laser is where it's standing right now was my bandsaw space. And it was perfect because I had a nice long pass through. I can get long boards for resawing. It was in a good spot, really close to dust collection. And where it is now, it's right behind. If I'm trying to do some large sheet goods into my table saw, I can't now. I have to move my bandsaw because it's like a tall piece now. Mm-hmm. So that's one of those tools that like I was so hyped for. I was so rock hard when I got it. And then I got it, set it up, and I was like, all right, it's out of my system. It's like Dan when he got the 3D printer the first time. Like, you get so excited for it. And I think we've all gotten a tool like that before, and it was like, all right, this is nice.
You almost like fantasize of like a different life that you could lead. Like, I'm going to be a fiber laser guy, or I'm going to be a 3D printer guy.
That was me with the lathe too.
You just never do.
I never want to get rid of that lathe. I used it a bunch. And then when I moved to the new house, I maybe used it 3 times, and it's just kind of been sitting there, but I never not want to have a lathe. It's one of those things.
Yeah. Like the moment will come where you're like, oh God, I wish I had that lathe.
Yeah.
That one job, like, I could save so much money if I just lathed out my own table legs.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to save Braden for last because he brought up the question, so he's got a good answer. But Dan, what is your thing that you were like, oh, I need to have this? And then
nothing currently, but it reminds me of a tool that I thought I had to have a while back, and I got it, and then it just sat around the shop. It's a mortiser, mortising machine.
Yeah.
I mean, whenever you see somebody use them on YouTube or whatever in a project, or at least I do, I'm like, oh man, that is such a great machine. I really need one of those. I have no good reason for that. I mean, I have a domino, I have a CNC. Like, what do I need a mortiser for? So that sat around for a good year or two before I was like, okay, that's got to go.
I will say I used one at the woodworking school. They had one, and I used it all the time. I brought in my own projects to use it. I thought it was so cool, but they were so expensive. Yeah,
that's the thing. I got a really good deal on it. I got it for like $150 or something like that. I mean, it was a good mortiser too. It was like a $500 mortiser. And I think I turned around and sold it for $125, so I didn't lose a whole lot of money on it. But the domino is so much easier to use. Yeah. There's very little setup, and it's quicker, and it's just as strong.
Do you have anything in your shop right now that you're like feel that way about?
No, I was trying to think of something, and I'm sure something will probably hit me. But
You're
right off the
pretty
top of
bare
my
bones with your tools. Like you truly have everything you're using.
yeah, I've gotten rid of things that I don't use. I mean, this past spring when Braden and Nick came over and cleaned my shop, I gave them a bunch of stuff.
And I'm
I
thinking
gave
big tools too. I'm not thinking like
I gave
drills and
Nick
things.
the radial
like
arm
big
saw that I
tools.
had big dreams for. I gave Braden my spindle sander.
Dan, we all had a big dream for the radial arm saw. we all saw the same video.
Right. Frank Howarth and Dusty Lumberco. I was like, oh, I gotta have a radial arm saw.
I have yet to plug in that spindle sander. It has not moved from the spot where I unloaded. That thing is heavy.
It is
the Laguna spindle
it's
sander.
beefy.
Yeah.
Yes,
I
it
will
is.
say
it's a nice spindle sander.
It sat for a long time and I never used it. And then I started using it on projects. It is so stout, and you can like
It's a very good sander.
lean into it with projects, and it doesn't even phase it.
But I didn't use it enough, and it was taking up valuable space.
I totally get it, man.
Yeah.
And I had a feeling that if I gave it to Braden, like if I ever needed it for something, it would be no problem to.
By the way,
could
quick
just have
update.
that,
It's midnight here. I did close all my rings, so on my watch. That's,
Okay, that's important.
Proud of you, Pete.
Good job, buddy.
Braden, what about you? What's the one thing?
Mine's not, I don't even think this is really that good, but I have been on such like a cleaning my shop and reorganizing and trying to like be an adult that I will go through these random pockets. And the great thing about my shop is also the curse. It's big enough that I have so much storage. Like I've got cabinets everywhere. And
Weird
I was
flex.
digging through one and I found a router, like a box joint jig
Oh,
that like it's like the top part and then you get a 2x4 and you like screw it onto that and that's the whole setup and you use a router and it's box joints. I've never once, not one single time used it. Not once.
I used to teach a class at the woodworking school on it. I have the Rockler one, not Rockler. I'm sorry, the Porter cable one.
Porter cable, yeah.
Yeah, and it's actually somebody from the community was like, "Hey, I'll send you mine. I'm not using it because I had to give mine back to the school. It was theirs." And when I had it, like for a while, I was just cranking out boxes. Once you dial it into one thing, that's why I always asked you, Dan, if you would ever consider doing that. Because I would. Larger cabinet shops, like they make like beefy, like the saw stop version of it. Like
Frankly, it would probably be a lot easier.
Yeah, you literally just slap it on there and then you just follow these templates and you can adjust them as wide as you want, different if you want dovetails or if you want just straight cuts. And it's pretty quick. Once you have it dialed in, it's awesome.
I found it. It's still for sale on Woodcraft. It's the Lay box joint and beehive router jig.
Lay. What is it called?
Box joint and beehive router jig. And it's, it's not the most expensive tool. It was $100. And I remember picking it up and thinking, this is so cool. I've got to do these. I'm a woodworker now. I should do this instead of, I'm not going to pocket hole.
Oh,
everything.
that one.
And I have not used it one single time. So if anybody's listening and if you think that you can get some use out of this box joint jig, hit me up.
How wide is it?
It's not wide enough to do what you need. It is.
See, that's my only problem. I need a wide boy.
Yeah, what's the
9
max
and
you need?
3/4 width.
I need at least 14 inches.
You can do 17 and 13/16 using step over procedure. So
What did you
you're
call
not
me?
going to do that.
That sounds too hard.
The Porter cable is a 12-inch unit. Giggity. So, but they do make third-party ones. Someone once gave me, they're like, "Oh, we're getting rid of all these tools. Do you want it?" And like, I had most of one that was like 20 inches long, or the actual cutting area was 20 inches long. It was most of the pieces for it, but then as I learned more about the tool, I was like, "Oh, this is missing half of it. Like it's missing the most important part."
I've thought about this. I could get a box joint jig like this. I know they sell them bigger. I think you can get an 18-inch, but it's like $700.
24-inch Porter cable dovetail jig woodworking dovetail. This is so. It's not a Porter cable. It literally has the word gripper in it.
See, they hit all the SEO keywords.
Yeah, $93, and it's
no,
a 24-inch one.
$93 box joint jig. No way.
Yeah, when Dan's got
trash.
his robot doing it,
So here's the thing.
But the thing is, you have the dog bones, right? That you have to always.
Yes, I have the dog bones, but it takes like 20 minutes to cut a panel, which is not bad. But when you're looking at how many tables I do and stuff, I also have to use an 1/8 bit to make the dog bones smaller.
Mhm.
I mean, if I were to make a vertical thing on my CNC, that this would be so much easier and faster.
1/2 bit. Let's go.
Yeah,
right.
And that's the thing. Like, I bought my jig, and then a couple months later, I got the CNC, and then started seeing I could do it vertically. But and I think that we should do that. I think both of us need to do that. In fact, I have the plans that somebody
I have the
designed
plans
for
in my
a
head.
vertical mount. I have them already out. We could probably CNC out the parts. We just have to cut a hole in our work surfaces, which
You could use the CNC to do that
that's true. Although
itself.
I have like 2, 3. I've got like 3 inches of spoil boards, which is a whole nother problem that I have. But here's the thing, and here's the reason that I asked you guys that question. And this is my soapbox. This is my message for the masses.
How's the box put together? Is it with box joints? Or?
Definitely not with box joint. It's no, it's just dominoes, and it works just great.
By the way, I always thought I was going to make way more drawer boxes that way. Never did. It's always just boxes.
Especially when you're starting out, it's really, really hard. At least it was for me to fight the urge to buy everything. Like, I walked into Woodcraft, I was walking out with something from Woodcraft, and
then your wife was going to walk out from you because you spent too much on Woodcraft.
No. It was all on the business credit card. It was a tax write-off, so it was totally fine. I don't know how taxes work, but here's the thing. Like, when you're first starting out, like you have these big dreams and you've got these big thoughts about like, I need this and I need this and I've got to do this. And if I'm trying to start a business, I have to have these tools. You don't have to have everything. Do as I say, not as I do. Pete.
Okay, so let me ask you this: on a whole, like, what are your favorite tools? What would you get rid of? What are some tools that, like, you still to this day, you're like, I want this in my shop, knowing full well you'll barely use it. You just want to have it just in case, or like you're still riding the hype wave on it, or like, do you have any of those tools?
I have one, and I've been trying to convince myself to buy one for a long time. In fact, I have one in my shop, but it was like I'll tear it all the way down and refinish it and put it back together. And it'll be nice because it's old. A drill press.
Oh, okay, like restore an old drill press.
Yeah, I have like an old from like the 80s, like back when Craftsman was like a thing, like Craftsman. I've got like a really nice freestanding drill press, and my thought was I'll tear it down, clean it up. Let's be honest, I'm never going to do that. Keep thinking about just going and buying the Menards desktop one, because it'll get the job done.
It's great.
And that's great. Yeah, and that's what Dan has, and it'll get the job done. And end of the day, I'm at
$250 or something, $300 maybe.
I'm not really interested. I don't get any joy out of like refinishing stuff, like machines.
Oh, right. I used to. They used to be my jam.
It's not.
I want to get back to the point where, like, I do want to get back to the point where, like, that's what I do again for fun. But like, well, hey, but it's just who's got the time there?
I've got a freestanding drill press you can start with. But
no English.
Yeah, who's got the time?
No English. No bueno.
Well, Dan, you got really excited when he's talking about this. What's your thing?
I want a big boy planer, like a big 20-inch heel head
you
planer.
Need that. You need to stop using your drum sander as a planer.
It's true.
That's the worst habit that Dan ever instilled on me. Is now I use my drum sander as a planer.
It works so well. It just takes a little while, but it's more.
And I hated my planer. It was so much easier to use my drum sander.
Oh, you kids.
But no, that's the message from all this is like, you wait until you have something that's paying for the tool and then get the tool.
Yeah.
Don't buy a box joint jig thinking, well, one day I'm going to make a bunch of boxes. No, you're not. Yeah. You're not.
Wait until you know what you're making before you buy the specific tool for thing.
When I first got into woodworking, I used to charge whatever the tool that I was going to use for the job that I really wanted would cost.
Yes.
Like, you know what? So I remember the first time ever someone was like, I want this. And I was
Oh,
like,
that cutting board, that's going to be
that'll be
$1,700.
$225. They're like, very oddly specific. I'm like, yes, that's exactly how much the Ryobi starter set with like 12 tools in it costs. So that was it. And then it was a router. I still have my Porter cable router. And then like my track saw, I forget what it wasn't a track saw, it was just a circular saw. Oh, corded like a pour.
I think I just thought of a tool that I have in my shop that maybe I bought and I don't need and I probably should get rid of.
Is it
Ooh, I
Sutton?
can't wait to figure out what's going to come over to my shop now.
You wish. No way. Not this one. The Domino 700.
Oh,
the big
no.
domino.
I need you to keep that because I need that every now and then.
Yeah.
Buy it off of them.
I bought it. I
No,
used
no.
it for the maple door that I made like 2 years ago, and I haven't used it
The
since.
doors.
But it's
No,
nice to
that's a
have.
lie. You used it when I did the mid mod desk.
Did we use that for that?
We did.
Okay.
When we did the big, the white oak panels, the top and the bottom panels. We used the thick boy. I got the videos.
The big domino?
We did.
Okay. All right. I don't remember.
On that same note, one tool that I bought from the Festool Recon site, and it was brand new when I got it. I don't know, like reconditioned my ass. It's all brand new basically. It was the RO90, and I got it because it's a 90 millimeter, so it's like a 3-inch or whatever. But the head pops off, so you do regular sanding, Rotex sanding, and then you pop off the head and you put a Delta head on it.
Ooh.
And I, for the longest time, couldn't find non-Festool paper for it. It was so hard to do. It's like to find. I mainly bought it because I'm like, oh, I'll be doing these cabinets and sanding, and I want to get into all the corners. Ended up just using the surf prep, like just got it squared
Just
up, put it in corners.
Jam it. Yeah,
So I
jam
have
it in.
the sander, but like I'm still glad I have it because I do see like uses for it. Now I have paper for it. But it was one I was like definitely like I didn't need this.
Okay, I'm gonna be the adult here because we don't need another 3-hour episode. But this discussion does kind of lead into one of our questions. We've finished our benches, correct? We're good.
So also I've been
Shut your mouth.
that's
but
it. Yeah, no. Let's go into
this-
our question.
This kind of leads into Sarah from Rosie's Workshop's question. So I think we should start there.
I think it's Rosie's Woodshop. That was a little rude of you.
What'd I say?
Wow, you said workshop. It's fine. People confuse
Pardon me.
my name too all the time.
Rosie's W shop.
Well, I was gonna start with Alex Adams, but whatever. We'll start with Rosie because you're in charge now.
Yes. Power.
All right. So here's a question from Sarah.
Hey guys, so I had a question. I've been on a few podcasts and I've been talking about how I want to open up my own woodworking STEM center and have people with disabilities working there. So people are asking me now like business questions, like how much money I need and where it's going to be and who's going to be teaching. Obviously I want to teach, but what are your ideas? Because all of you have pretty decent businesses going on and stuff. So what would be your suggestions with this? I may be able to collaborate with someone who already owns a building and be able to teach there. So let me know your thoughts.
Okay,
I don't
Braden,
know.
since you rolled it into the question, go.
Before we get into the actual question itself, there's other podcasts.
Allegedly. I've heard rumors.
Yeah,
There are
I'm not gonna-
concepts of podcasts.
The
I'm not going to
Hercules
fact
audio
check it because I
experience.
don't want to figure out. I don't actually want to hear the answer. Well, for one, don't buy every single tool for your business because you might not need all of them. I'm going to take the adult answer here, like the boring one, and I'm going to
That's
recommend.
my job.
So I know. But Aretha has a background in this, so I know the buzzwords, I know the acronyms.
Ooh.
Synergy.
That's right. Fusion, siloed, but starting a small business, especially something like a woodworking school, and then also rolling in like the special needs aspect, like there's a lot of moving parts here.
Yeah.
And as nice as it would be to just start working in somebody else's shop, I think there's a lot more back end stuff that you've got to worry about or at least plan for before you can just kind of jump into this whole school idea. What I would recommend is you need a business plan. Like, you need to put this down on paper. I
Mhm.
love the energy of saying like, hey, this is what I want to do. This is my dream. That's great. You need to figure out how you're going to pay for it. You need to figure out what you're going to do with it, and you need to put that all down. And that is a business plan. Once you have that, there is a state program in all 50 states that works with the SBA, which is the Small Business Association, to help find funding and grants. Um, every single state has something called the SBDC, and it's the Small Business Development Center. Aretha actually ran the Nebraska State one for forever, and they have people there that are experts in helping you find um, planning out business plans, figuring out funding, figuring out locations. Like, they have experts in starting businesses, and they can help you also look into like some of the legislation, some of the insurance requirements, and help you develop the plan. So I wouldn't look at our businesses as like, hey, we've got a
Mm-mm.
ton of expertise in what you're looking at. The expertise is going to come from somebody that actually knows how to start a business. And that's where I would start.
Absolutely. I'm just
Yeah.
going to say ditto to everything that Braden said, because I don't know how the hell I got here. I just ended up here. I didn't come into this with a plan, and Braden hit the nail on the head. So, yes. Peter.
Oh, said my full name, my government name. Okay. Um, I'm gonna second that yeah, definitely, like, you need a business plan, and it's not just like, here's what I want to do. Like, research business plans, because you need to, if you're gonna have people working there too, like, that you're gonna be coordinating, it's salaries, it's hours, it's class schedules, or syllabuses, whatever, like, just like you would for school.
Syllabuses.
You know, material estimates for classes or months or for the years, or like what
Different
plans,
insurance.
insurance, like, there's so many things to consider. And especially if you're looking to use someone else's space, they need to be 110% on board for you to do any of that stuff. That's not something you can, like, oh, I'm going to run a thing from this person's place. They won't know. Like, I'll just host a class there. Like, there's a lot there. And the main part of it is it's legal and it's insurance. And this is something that you realistically, like, you got to get a lawyer involved. Especially if you're trying to do some kind of outreach, because you're most likely, and Braden has a little experience in this, you're going to be dipping your toes into the nonprofit charity stuff. Was it 403 or 503 C charity, whatever, like, what
503 CB.
503C is
503.
is a chair. That's what a nonprofit basically is. So,
What's her number?
and nonprofit doesn't mean like you don't get paid. Like, it just means that the business isn't profiting. Like, everyone involved can still get paid, because it's hard work, but it's most of the money is being put towards growing something very positive. So you need to make friends with a lot of, people that are already involved in this or doing research, a lot of research, and figure out the details. Because it's not just as simple as like, here's my very detailed idea. It's, here's the funding, here's the schedule, here's the school that's going to have their students come by, and like, here's the teachers that I have lined up. Like, very detailed schedule. So I wish you the best of luck. I want to see this happen because just, it's an awesome positive thing. I think it's great. So good luck.
Yes. Bottom
It's
line
very intimidating to me, but good luck.
bottom line is we're not experts, but Braden gave you a good starting point on how to find experts to help you.
Yep.
Would you say it was the SBDC?
SBDC, the Small Business Development Center.
Okay.
Booyah.
There you go.
Good stuff. Good question. Good heavy hitter question. Next one we got is from,
Oh, hold on. NJSBDC.com. New
That's the New
Jersey,
Jersey one?
Small Business Development Center.
I was just looking at my background and I remembered something that was supposed to be on my bench, but I got rudely cut off by Braden. I got some stuff in the mail this week that's for all of us. And
Oh,
yeah. So
he was trying to scoot by without you showing that yet.
So we supported our dear friends Lizzie and Ashley. So Ashwood and Hawk and House of Timber. They did the, what is it? Ashwood and Timber. That was a collaboration. And essentially they did a 30 different maker signs or logos in 30 days. That 30 days got a little stretched. It was a
Non-consecutive.
what are days, right? Yeah, non-consecutive days. It was still 30 days just stretched out. But they did a bang up job and we got all of our signs delivered this week. And this is just one of them. And if you're viewing this on YouTube, you can actually see it. And it looks freaking badass.
Oh, wait, is that ambrosia maple?
It is ambrosia maple.
This is the one I called dibs on.
Oh, damn it.
Oh, did you want this one?
I didn't realize it was ambrosia. That's fine. I'll take the cherry.
So there's this one. We got a cherry. And then the last one is, I think, pallet wood. That's one Braden's getting. No, I actually don't remember what the last one is. But we took some very sexy photos and fall foliage today. And we're very grateful to them. Because technically, it was a one logo thing. And we got 3 separate signs made. So, we're kind of a medium deal. Yeah, Dan's right. It's one logo, just 3 times. Legal.
It's just copy paste, right?
Yeah,
that's how that works.
But they did a bang up job. So I'm going to be sending the 2 sets to the guys, and then the 2 to the guys, and then I'll keep 1. So we'll have it in our background, so you guys will be able to see it next week when you're watching the YouTube channel, youtube.com/Another Woodshop Podcast.
Yes.
There you go.
.com.org.
Yeah. All right. So next question from Alex Adams.
Hey guys, it's Alex at Type A Furniture, and my question is, what do you guys look for in a laptop or computer that you're using for a shop or just your business in general? I know that I personally use my cell phone as much as possible, but there's just certain things that are easier to do on the laptop or computer. Mine is personally getting pretty old and I need to replace it soon. So I'm curious what you guys look for. Of course, everyone's use case is different, whether they need it for CNC, 3D print, just going through and making customer documents, or if it's going to be the primary tool for video editing and dealing with all of those video files for content. So I'm curious what you guys look for and if there's anything in particular that you guys recommend.
Dan?
Captain Nerd, you want to go? I'll go. My laptop is bare bones. It's one that Pete recommended I buy because I told him, I just want this laptop. All it's going to do is run Vectric. It's going to run Lightburn. Well, actually, at the time, I didn't have Lightburn, but now it runs Lightburn. So that's basically it. And I look at email sometimes, and I'll look at my Etsy orders on there, and I'll run like music on Spotify with it. I don't do anything else with that computer. I don't edit files or I don't edit video files. I don't do any content with it. I don't look at explicit things with it for sure. It's super bare bones.
CNCHub.com.
Just a bunch
Braden,
of
you have a laptop in your shop, yeah?
I do have a laptop that is probably 8 years old. It's like an old gaming laptop. So I don't know the best part about it was free and I didn't care if it packed full of dust.
That's exactly how I look at it too.
Dan's dust collector.
Yeah. I mean, the laptop in the shop is going to get brutalized. So I didn't want to spend a fortune on it.
I have the parts to fix that problem. What I have for my shop computer that I really just need to hang up the monitor. I went and found one of those Dell Optiplexes, which is one of those like little microcomputers that you see like literally attached to the back of monitors. I got that so that I could stick it underneath my desk where my computer goes, and then I could build a box with filters on it for my monitor and just stick it straight to the wall. And that way the keyboard, the mouse, everything could go away either in a drawer or maybe pull out sort of thing, and I could mitigate the dust issue. And they're pretty cheap. It's like $115 for a refurbished one that's got, it's an i5. It's got like 16 gigs of RAM. It's a pretty decent little computer. In fact, it's actually the computer that's running. It's now my podcast computer, and I've got to order another one. So that's what I would recommend, is just, it doesn't really matter. Just figure out how you're going to deal with dust, because that'll kill that thing.
You just reminded me. Yesterday, I got a message on this computer that I'm using right now. I have a 27-inch Mac. It's older. I think it's
You're supposed to
5
buy a
years
new
old.
one like a month ago.
Yes. I just got a message yesterday. My disc is full. So it's a miracle that we're doing this. I
Maybe
don't
empty
even know. I don't even know if I'll be able to save my file.
Empty your trash, maybe? Is your trash full?
Are we trash?
Delete your explicit.
It's-
Whatever.
So I will say
I'll look into
that
it.
Braden
All right,
had
all right, nerd. What you got?
Braden, you had a great recommendation of a not a laptop, but an actual little mini desktop. One thing that all of us are running, but none of us really mentioned by name is Windows. Get I hate to say it, but get Windows if you're running CNC.
I hate
and
it as well,
laser,
but it is what
get
it
Windows
is.
because there's a good amount of applications that don't run natively in Mac OS. And you can do a workaround by
Vectric,
getting a
for
copy
one.
of Parallels. Then you get a copy of Windows, install a copy of Windows inside Parallels, then launch this application just that runs a fake version of virtual machine of Windows to run Vectric or vcarve or whatever. Like, you don't want to do that. If you can do a Windows PC, I know it's not everyone's favorite, but it's great. And here's my recommendation, whether this is your daily driver and you're also going to use it in a shop, or if you're buying a computer just for the shop, the absolute floor for any computer, 16 gigs of RAM is your floor. No lower than that. Ideally 32 if you can. 16 floor. 500 gigs is like really pushing the floor here. Ideally, you want a 1 terabyte SSD, which means solid state drive, or NVMe. So solid state drive usually just looks like a regular hard drive, but it's solid state storage, so it's very reliable, very fast. NVMe, it's even faster because it's hooked up directly to the board, so it's able to access the information even faster. 1 terabyte's kind of the standard. One thing that I will say, so like Braden, you mentioned, it's an i5 and it's good. i5, so it's i3, i5, and i7 for Intel processors. Look at the number before it. Is it a 9700K? Or is it a
6500T?
6500? Okay, so we're currently on generation, I want to say 16,000.
Pete's about to tell me that my computer is complete garbage. I'm looking 256 gigs.
So yours is about 8 or 9 years old, is that generation.
Scared to look at mine.
So basically, when you look at, your might not have it because it's not I don't know, it might be actually an Intel, whatever. That number tells you how many generations ago it was made. So it might be an i5, but you might be better off getting an i3, which is technically slower, but a newer generation, which makes it faster. It's a whole
But the number's smaller.
If the number bigger, then gooder.
There ain't no replacement for displacement.
This is a 5K late 2015 iMac.
Yeah,
So it's
2015.
9 years old.
So you're 9 years old. You're right
Pete's
there. dude.
judging our computers.
No, I'm
real
not.
He
hard.
is hard.
No, dude, my computer in the shop
And
is
it's an i5.
is like a office desktop that was getting thrown out. It's like one of those like slim ones that you find in like most modern offices that just has like a crappy Lenovo monitor on it. I just upgraded the drive to an SSD. It's got 16 gigs of RAM. It runs my library, everything fine. I actually prefer the desktop route because you can get a better screen for it or something bigger, or a lot of people have a TV or something in their shop. You could just use that. And I find myself a lot of times I'm collaborating with people in the shop with me, next to me. And if you're on a laptop with, and this is one thing that, Dan, from the recommendation that I gave you on your laptop, one thing I would change is make sure the LCD is crisp. Because Dan's laptop, it's fine, it's good, it does everything it needs to do. The LCD sucks on it.
Yeah, I
If you
don't
look-
care.
I know, no, and it's not to insult it. It's just simply that like we bought what we could with the budget, right?
Yeah, I
but
got
like,
it for like $300 or
if you
something
look
like that.
off center a little bit, or if it's too bright in the shop, it's like almost like hard to focus on some parts of the shop, the display. Get a good display. It's not that expensive, and getting a little desktop like what Braden has, and then like a nice $150, 1440 display, you're going to be able to see everything crisp, have a nice big screen to work on, and it's going to be really nice. So don't just shoehorn yourself into a laptop. But those are my basic metrics. And if you have more questions, hit me up.
So I pulled up my about this Mac file just because I wanted to see if I had an iCore.
Intel processor.
Yeah, whatever. I'm looking at the storage. I have 15 gigabytes available of 2 terabytes. That's
Dan,
bad.
delete your trash.
I'm not going to do it right now while we're recording. I feel like
No,
it
you
might
can.
crash.
No, it's just deleting your trash.
I just looked
I
for
don't trust this
60
computer.
for $60 extra. You can get an 8500 i5 with twice as much gigabytes.
Yeah.
But you can get them refurbished on Amazon pretty super reasonably.
And laptops tend to be actually more expensive because everything is shrunk down. But if you get a smaller PC, and if you don't even need to get one of those micro Dells, which are amazing, by the way, those things are powerhouses, like what Braden's using. But you can get a small desktop tower that's like 12 inches tall, or maybe a little taller, like 4 inches wide. Very average size for Dan. So like getting something like that and a monitor, mouse, and keyboard, you're still under $500.
Which
There
is
you
you
go.
can get an i7 for $230.
Yeah.
I might be buying a computer.
Basically,
tonight.
your goal should be $600. I'll up it from what I told Dan. $600, max out that budget, don't go over, and you're set. And I know it's 600 is not easy. Like you can spend less, but you're going to be looking for a new computer sooner than you would like. That's all I'm going to say about that.
That's a good question.
Very good question.
Nerd question.
Speaking of nerd
another
questions,
question, right?
Yeah, speaking of nerd questions, here's another question from Alex Adams.
Hey guys, it's Alex at Type A Furniture, and my question relates to a future client build that I have, and it's going to be for 2 6-foot by 6-foot tables that can get pushed together to be one large table, or they can be separate and be tables on their own. The tricky part about this project is the fact that it's going to be an outdoor piece. It's going to be on kind of like a concrete and brick patio that's going to be covered. So it's not going to be in full sun all the time, but it's still an outdoor project. And it's going to have Doug fir beams as the top from a previous building that they own, because that's what they wanted to use for sentimental reasons. And then they also want those like thick metal caster wheels that are like 6 or 8 inches in diameter. So those wheels and the fact that it's like dug for the top are kind of my primary concerns when building this. Because I don't know if I'm going to have to go all the way to like penetrating epoxy or just fill in the holes on these dug fir beams with epoxy, and then use something like, I don't know, maybe like a spar varnish or a urethane. I'm not sure exactly what I should try and go with on that one. So looking for some insight there. And then if there's anything that you guys can think of when it comes to durability of those metal wheels, because it's kind of that strictly metal, no like thin urethane on there. And I'm trying to think of ways to make sure that I can keep that nice and durable and last, so it doesn't get beat up and look like crap after a while. So thanks for your thoughts, and looking forward to hearing what you guys have to say.
Nice, cool project. Braden, what do you think?
For outdoor stuff, like just stuff that you've got to be pretty rough on, I've always used like spar urethane, and I mean that's coming from cornhole boards. But one thing that I like, one finish that I've always looked at in terms of planning on trying when I do some outdoor furniture, doesn't Osmo have like a UV protected
Yes,
protected oil?
they do. They've sent me some.
What did you
Yes.
think about it?
I haven't used it.
Okay.
Oh, good.
It's a nice package.
It's a good package. Yeah, looks nice.
But something like that. I mean, the key here, if it's going to be outside, is you definitely want to probably get something that's going to be UV protected, and that's going to protect the piece, and it's also going to protect your finish, because if with just that much direct sunlight, a lot of finishes they're going to tint, they're going to yellow and things like that. So something that's UV protected should, at very minimum, help mitigate something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Dan,
Dan?
thoughts?
One thing you should always know with outdoor furniture, and I've said this in the past and I'll repeat it, Mother Nature always wins. In the long run, Mother Nature will win. It doesn't matter what kind of finish you use. If you don't maintain it, Mother Nature will win. So just keep that in mind. No matter what you use, you're going to have to maintain it. With that said, though, one thing I would do is I would always at least seal the end grain of pieces as much as you can. So I would definitely use penetrating epoxy or some sort of epoxy on the end grain of all pieces, because if wood is going to absorb water, it's going to be on the end grains first, because as you know, wood is like a pack of straws, and that's where the moisture would get in, is on the end grain. So seal up that end grain as best as possible. Epoxy, penetrating epoxy, whatever. I would also use a spar urethane, but as Braden said, it's probably going to yellow over time, especially if you use a oil-based spar urethane. You can use a water-based spar urethane. It's not going to be as good as protecting as an oil-based, just because oil-based finishes, in my opinion, are more rock solid and more durable over time. But water-based finishes have advanced quite a bit. There's Halcyon by Total Boat. They even have their Gleam varnish and their
what's that other one? Why am I?
They have a really
Rust?
thick like
no
boat varnish that would probably be good, but it's
something. It's another 4-letter word.
Lust.
Lust?
Is it Lust?
Yeah, it's Lust. Yes.
Okay, it might
really?
be Lust.
I think
What
so.
name?
Yeah, it's really thick. It's I think it's got an amber color to
Yep,
it.
it's
I
Lust.
believe.
High gloss marine varnish. Yep.
It's a marine varnish, so it's made to be super protective, especially in wet environments. So that might be worth looking into. As far as the wheels, go ahead.
Is that where the boat in Total Boat comes from? Is the like boat stuff?
No, they're just Canadian. It's like totally a boat of everything that you need to finish.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. The casters, the wheels. I think we touched on this in the pre-show, but if possible, I would get some sort of galvanized wheel, because that's gonna not rust. It's like the stuff that metal chain link fence is made out of. It's galvanized and it's not going to rust. So I think you can get that in a caster. Not 100% sure, but I want to say that you can. So I would look into getting that, so you don't have to worry about maintaining the wheels and the table. You know what I mean? Pete, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, treat it like a boat or like a deck.
Yeah.
And before you even get to that part, you're using recycled material. It sounds like the Douglas fir beams and I'm assuming I've worked with some older material like that, and it tends to be fairly gray and like it doesn't have a pop of color on its own. So like you need to set some proper expectations with your customer as well, just to make sure that they're aware of what this is going to look like, and that they are going to have to maintain it to maintain it to make sure that it lasts. Dan brought up a great point. Seal all the end grain. That means all the end grain at the top
All
of the
of
table.
it.
Usually, especially tables. I love the Paul Jackman approach. He flips his tables or his Adirondack chairs upside down, tapes around the feet, and just pours epoxy in and just lets it set, and then sands it down. He literally caps it completely. But even if, where's the rain coming down? It's coming down on the top, and if your legs are straight up, the end grain's pointed up, seal that end grain. So like Total Boat stuff, I think that's a great recommendation, or just finish it like you would a deck, as far as your thing. And as far as the wheels go, they're going to rust a little bit. They're going to do their thing. One thing I will say that you can kind of prevent from getting worse, they're going to be in rain. If it's not lubricated well, it's going to squeak. It's going to lock up. It's not going to be a good thing. Once again, we're going boat. Marine grease. Just look up marine grease or waterproof grease. It'll literally come up with marine grease. You can get it at Home Depot.
Good point.
Get it online. Lube up those wheels.
Lube it up.
Like a lot. Even get like a little syringe, just inject it inside. Make sure those things are moving smoothly, because especially with rain. And the nice thing, and the difference with marine grease over like a lot of other lubricants, they won't wash away with water. It's pretty viscous, and it'll last through the rain. So that's a nice little touch. I've used that outside on stuff that squeaks, and it doesn't squeak again.
Another thing that I thought about, and you said that you're going to have to set expectations with your customers and stuff. He mentioned that these tables are going to fit together, and they're going to be able to like come apart.
I'm
It's
assuming
kind
they're
of
just going to
modular,
be the same height and like
right?
they're
Like
just going to
next
move
to
it
each
however they
other.
want. Hence the
But
wheels.
because this table is going to be outside and because it's Douglas fir, which is a softwood, it's going to move. So over time, it might not fit together as good as it used to, like when you first made it, because the wood is going to move quite a bit. So I would set expectations for that as well, because once again, Mother Nature is undefeated. So
Undefeated.
Build in tolerances.
Yep.
Mhm.
Good stuff. Good question. Alex Adams. He's grown so much. I love it.
That timeout did him good.
And last question is from Nick, and this is his actual voice, definitely not AI.
Hey guys, this is Nick from NV Woodshop, and this is mostly a question for Dan and Braden. For craft shows that are indoors, like most will be this holiday season, do you still demo the whiskey smokers? This is my first season selling them, and don't want to get yelled at or make the whole place smell like a campfire. Thanks, and keep up the mediocre work. Nick Vreeland.
Yeah. So what
Ray,
do
do you want to
guys-
take this?
Nick, Dan, I'll let you start it, and I'll clean up.
Okay. We do and ask for forgiveness later.
No
I think-
Fs.
I think what we have going for us though is we've always been in spots that they might be indoors, but they have a lot of like open air space. So like we're not making a ton of smoke. Okay. We're not starting a bonfire. So it's just tiny bits of smoke here and there. And we're not like doing it back to back to back. It's usually like 5 to 10 minutes in between demos. So it's not a whole lot. And I think that has helped us a lot. We haven't gotten in trouble yet. So
I
fingers
don't think
crossed.
anybody's. Yeah, no, nobody's even noticed us. And I mean, like
It smells like incense. I mean, it's
Yeah.
about the same amount of smoke as an incense would be putting off. So
Yeah, I mean it's not a ton of smoke. You don't have to load up the whiskey smoker. I mean, and you don't even to use the whiskey smoker itself. Like it's a little pinch, little sawdust. Make sure it's out